Yo, what's good, YouTube? In today's video, we're going over the new top 5 meta loadouts here after the season 5 reloaded update. If you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like for the algorithm, subscribe, notifications turned on, and let's get into it. All right, hopping in here first, we're gonna go over the MCW as an AR because the AR version caught a nice buff. I'm here to tell you guys right now that the STG and stuff, it didn't get nerfed into the ground, but it did get nerfed a little bit. I also just don't want to give you guys the like 15th STG build here in a top 5 because we've given so many here already. So first attachment, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go in here and give you guys the Quartermaster Suppressor. So the Quartermaster Suppressor is what you guys should be running here on this thing. They didn't mess the Quartermaster in the update. It's still perfectly fine. You guys can be able to check out the detailed statistics here. The exact same thing. You lose a little bit of ADS, a little bit of sprint to fire. You still keep all, you know, your damage range, all that sort of stuff. And of course, you get your gun kick control, which is the main thing we really like, apart from just staying off the radar. So the Quartermaster Suppressor is going to be our first attachment. After that, we're going to go into the barrel section, and we have a large variety of barrels to run in here, but basically there is two that you really should consider. Basically, we can see the 16.5 MCW Cyclone barrel, and of course then we have the Mammoth Heavy. So see, both of these get you into that 40+ meters of damage range, which is really cool. The only downside is that this one doesn't have as much bullet velocity as the Cyclone, which gives you a nice 18% increase. We have 42.4 meters right here versus 42.7. Not going to make that much of a difference here in terms of, like, you know, that little bit of extra damage range. What you should be concerned with is your bullet velocity between the two of these. So since it's basically so negligible in terms of what you would actually, you know, feel in game, you really are not going to notice the difference. So the MCW Cyclone long barrel is the way to go here for this gun. After that, go down to the ammunition side of things. We're gonna actually make this gun even better to use at distance. It's gonna have a tad bit of recoil. It's not gonna be like zero recoil, but when we add the high grain rounds on here, this gives you that 48.7 meters, which is essentially the same distance and where the STG would sit, basically pre-update, pre-nerf, and all this sort of stuff. So you're gonna be just out there at that STG range, over 1,000 meters per second bullet velocity, which is really fantastic, which is exactly what you guys are wanting and should be looking for. After that magazine, we're gonna go throw on the 60-round mag. Of course, I'm a 60-round mag kind of guy, but the 60-round mag is definitely what you guys should be using. No reason to go for anything else. Like the 40 doesn't make sense, as cool as it is to have a 40-round mag, and for the look of it, it's not beneficial. Just go for the 60. Lastly, in the optics section, stabilize this thing out and just have great, you know, overall seeability is the Jack glasses. We've been running this here on a variety of our ARs. I've almost exclusively ran that on the STG. I did kind of switch out for the Choreo Eagle Eye. You guys can try the Choreo Eagle Eye 2.5x on this if you really want to, but overall, just recommend for the Jack glasses, kind of stay with that, as it's not broke, so don't fix it. You don't really need a lot more range out of this thing, considering it's not like the absolute laser beam. The Jack glasses is going to be your determining range of what is good to be used for. So that's going to be my full build there for the MCW. Next up, we have a pretty awesome build here. I'm going to give you guys with the Striker. This caught a nice buff, making it even more effective here in the season, so I'm happy about that. I'm hoping we get a nice little Striker meta going here, and we don't have everyone just running around with, you know, their STG and, you know, static HV, which by the way is still pretty good. So we're gonna give you guys a build here for the Striker, which should hopefully take care of all your guys' needs. So first thing is going to be the Quartermaster Suppressor here. As always, the Quartermaster, this is what we use. I mean, no reason to use a Zeman 35. Like the Zeman 35 was cool when it was out before the Quartermaster was in the game, but ever since that, you know, the Quartermaster has been out, we just only be running this on ARs, SMGs, LMGs. It doesn't even matter what. I mean, you just gotta throw that thing on there. After that, we're going down to the underbarrel section. We're gonna go throw on the DR6 hand stop. And this is one of those things where if you really want to run something like the XRK Edge, that's perfectly acceptable, perfectly fine. Or if you want to go over here and run the paracord grip, that's also perfectly acceptable as well. It's not like there's going to be one true little underbarrel thing in here which you have to run. Between the paracord, the DR6, the XRK Edge, it's totally up to you and what you guys want to use, but the DR6 is going to be my preference and what I've had good success with, what I've been testing out here. I feel it's actually really good. Now down to the ammunition side of things, we're gonna go through on the .45 auto high grain rounds. We actually really like this because some of the other SMGs have kind of nerfed a little bit in their total effective damage range down. While if you actually have the .45 auto high grains on this thing, you get to that 16.6 meters of effective damage range, which is, and that's very far for an SMG, frankly. I mean, I think I used the Bass P yesterday, and that thing had about 19, which is kind of absurd. But it's not really like super hard meta, and also your bullet velocity has been increased as well. The only downside is that you get a little bit of recoil, but honestly, the striker has virtually none, so it doesn't matter that much. Magazine, we're gonna go through on the 48 round mag. Listen, I know I'm a 60 round mag kind of guy, but I go for the 48 instead of the 60. Doesn't make sense. Always got to go for the 48. This thing only has a 645 round per minute fire rate. It's not like it's 800-900 or something where it's like, okay, you need that 60, otherwise you're gonna run out of bullets too fast. It's pretty manageable, and 48's more than enough for how hard the striker hits. Lastly, we're gonna go into the stock section, and pretty much a couple options in here. I know for myself personally, I've gone over here and I've used the no stock because it's like, hey, I like the increase in movement. I can deal with any that little bit of recoil I get because the striker is very, very manageable. It doesn't totally chalk your gun like a lot of other guns do when you throw on the no stock attachment. The striker is super manageable, so I like going for that. But if you guys don't want to go for that, go for the Lockman MK2 light stock, and that's basically going to be your go-to right there. It gives you the increase in movement speed and sprint speed. A few nice little benefits here without pretty much getting any sort of like, you know, drawbacks. Minus it says recoil kick, not going to notice it. It's the striker. It doesn't really have any. So that's going to be my full updated build here after the update. Next up, let's take a look here at the BAL27. This kind of nice damage range buff in the update, making it even better to use as a primary AR. So I'm pretty excited about that. So we'll give you guys here the updated build for it. It should be a lot more competitive and probably even outgun like, you know, your MCW, your STG, so on and so forth. So first thing, quartermaster. Not really gonna explain much time on it. It's just the quartermaster. After that barrel section, we have a few options in here of what we can use. If you click on the detailed statistics, you can just scroll by any of them. You're not really looking at a whole lot here besides like what gives you actual extra damage range, and the only thing that really does that and increases your bullet velocity is the Crown H3 barrel. So I just say go for this. When you get that nice 38.1 meters now, it only was about 32-ish, 33 beforehand. I don't believe it's at 38. Your bullet velocity didn't get really increased, but 884 is perfectly fine. You're not going to be beaming people across the map. This is not like pre-patch STG where you can get up to like 1300 meters per second with like a 50 meter damage range, which is clearly by far the best gun in the game. So this is definitely still balanced and really good, but you guys should be using this. After that, we're going down here to the magazine section, throw on the 60 round mag here. Only option we got, so you have to throw on the 60. 30 rounds is just totally not acceptable. I don't care if you're playing solos. Throw on the 60. It's going to be what you should be using, so throw on that 60. After that, we're going to go into the optic, throw on the JAK glassless. This is one of those guns where I would pretty much exclusively recommend for you guys to use the JAK glassless as opposed to any other like more of a zoomed in optic. This doesn't really have the sort of vibe for it. This is definitely more of an aggressive AR build, or just an aggressive AR in general. You feel like you can be pretty up in people's faces with it. I mean, you can really build this thing out to be kind of like a sniper support or even kind of like an SMG. So you can get real aggressive and still have good success at close range due to just the nature of the gun, which I like. It's pretty versatile. So I just say use the JAK glassless and you'll be good to go. Lastly, in the stock section, we're gonna go for that ardent tack. This is just going to totally stabilize your gun out, give you the gun kick control that you want, everything like that. It's going to make you very effective at range. We can see for your detailed statistics here, a nice 29% increase to your overall kick, a nice 7 and 7 for your horizontal and vertical, which is exactly what we need here on this gun. Doesn't require too much, just a little bit, and that's all we really need. So this is my full updated build here for the BAL27. All right, now let's hop in here to a build with a static HV. So this technically did receive a little bit of a nerf. It's not like they nerfed the actual, you know, mobility of the gun. They nerfed the damage range just ever so slightly. So it's still going to be really good. It's going to be one of those guns where it's like the Superior 46, where it's going to probably take realistically like 7 nerfs for it to actually be bad. So, and even then the Superior is still not technically that bad. It's just not really as good as it used to be. So the Quartermaster, of course, is our first attachment. People are still going to be running this hell of a lot. So I'd recommend for you guys to go for that Quartermaster. In barrel section, we're gonna go throw on the Auger 840 light barrel. Still gotta be running this here just because we're trying to make this thing very mobile. It's not like you're gonna be running this as a sniper support. You should be running this pretty much as your primary, you know, close range SMG. It's not like it's a sniper support. We don't go for that. Only go for that close range, you know, capabilities of it. Under barrel section, few options in here between the XRK Edge, DR6, and then what most people run, including myself, which is the paracord grip. I really enjoy the paracord grip just to stabilize it out a little bit. It's got a little bit of that weird, you know, side to side / vertical recoil to it. So when you can stabilize it with the paracord, it works out great. And also you get a little bit of aim locking, steadiness, sprint to fire speed, all that sort of fun jazz apart from stabilizing your horizontal recoil. So I like that a little bit more than the DR6 for this gun. So I just go for the paracord personally. After that, we're gonna go up in here to optics section, and there's a couple options in here. If you guys want to go for something very standard, jet glasses is great. I know you really can't go wrong with that. I'm sure a lot of you guys probably run the jet glasses here on your static. If you're not running an optic, I'd just go for something like a laser and go for the Kimura. That's going to be great for like the iron sights, which I've done before. It takes a little bit of time to get used to, but it's actually pretty nice. So I really don't mind using the laser as opposed to an optic. But otherwise, go for the jet glasses. And then what I would go for a little bit farther down here is the Night Model 2023. This is my preference on an optic for this thing. I just like it. It feels satisfying. It's nice to use. You could always use the MK3, but personally, I just like the Night Model 2023. Lastly, we're gonna go for the Spry 34 light stock here in the stock section, which will round out our build, just giving us a little bit increase in mobility without messing with our recoil a whole lot. Really awesome. Don't as much recommend that no stock. That's going to be quite heavy on your recoil control downsides. Unlike the Striker, you will feel this quite substantially. So I just go for the Spry. Even though normally I try to go for maximum movement and recoil, you're not really going to get good recoil control out of the no stock. So just go for this, and that'll be your full updated build here for the static. And lastly, but definitely not least, I'm going to give you guys an updated build here for the SOA Subverter, as this caught a nice damage range buff and making this thing just more effective. So you can still use this. And I just, before anyone says, no, you know, the STG is not out of meta, I'm just trying to cover guns that aren't exactly the STG, since that build will not have changed. It'll be the exact same, and I've covered it a few times already. I want to give guys, you know, updated builds and things you can use that aren't just the STG, since we've been running it since season 5 came out. So first thing, Quartermaster here. This gun will really benefit from using the Quartermaster. Like we previously were using something like the Casa Spray Compensator, because the recoil on the Subverter just after a little bit just starts going a little bit wonky, and it's not that great to use for long range. So the Quartermaster will significantly help you out with that. Barrel section, when you go through on the Dozer 90 long barrel, of course, there's only basically two options in here. We have 25.4 meters of effective damage range, so we gotta throw on the Dozer 90, which will boost you out here a decent bit, make you a lot more effective and a lot better. Of course, the total effective damage range is not the absolute greatest, but it's still actually a meta gun to use, because it does hit very hard. So the Dozer 90 is great. Underbarrel section, there's a couple options in here. A lot of people like to go for the Bruin Heavy support grip, which is really solid and will totally take care of any of your side to side, and all you have to do is deal with the vertical recoil, which is pretty sick. So you can do that. I've also tested a little bit in the firing range personally with the paracord grip on it, and weirdly enough, it does work not that bad. So you guys can try it out for yourselves and tell me what you think. But the paracord is actually not that bad. But for if you want to stay for like the try and true here, I just go for the Bruin Heavy support grip and stick it with that on this gun. Going out to magazine, got to throw on the 50 round mag here. This is pretty standard. Don't need to switch this up. I mean, this doesn't make sense. Don't ever go for this. Just go for the 50. And of course, don't ever go for the stock magazine size. That's horrible. It's one of my least favorite ground loot guns to pick up, the 20 round, you know, SOA Subverter. So we have the 50 rounds right here. And lastly, in the optics section, the Jack glasses. This is not a gun for that increase in magnification. The STG is one of those guns where you know you'd have great success with that. This is definitely not. So just go for the Jack glasses, call it a day with that. That's been my full build. That's my top 5. If you guys enjoyed this video, give it a like for the algorithm, subscribe, notifications turned on, check out this other video on screen, and I'll see you all next time.